Nothing lasts forever. Same goes for video games, obviously, but more specifically, I'm talking about video game genres and their popularity. We all know about the modern video game genres like AAA, racing, sandbox, and more. But we also have old and arcade ones like shoot 'em ups, light gun shooters, platformers, etc. When video games were a new thing, these genres were the first ones and hence the talk of the show. As time passed on, more genres were made, resulted in some genres somewhat managing their fame, like platformers, while some became pretty obscure, like FMV games. And the genres that are still remembered are usually seen in the mobile gaming market nowadays, mainly because they are easy to make, easy to learn, easy to play, and they fit in phones surprisingly well. Although as a person who grew up with games from the modern genre like racing, AAA, sandbox, and more, I do have a place in my heart for these genres, especially shoot 'em ups. But it wasn't always like that. I used to only love games from the racing, AAA, and other similar big genres. I did not have any interest towards shoot 'em ups, puzzles, platformers, and more. So, what changed all this? Well, when I was little, there wasn't any kind of proper internet in our country. This was around 2010s when piracy was everywhere. The ones that had internet downloaded free or pirated big paid games from the internet and loaded them on cheap CDs and DVDs and sold them for pretty affordable prices. My dad used to buy those kinds of discs alongside official physical versions of games and gave them to me. I literally had a small cabinet full of those. I slotted in a disc, checked for games, tried some, trashed some, loved some, and it went like that. And on one of those discs one day, I saw a rather odd named game. It got me curious. I installed the game and launched it. It's a shoot 'em up, I see. And usually games that did not interest me in its first couple of minutes, I used to throw them in the trash. And this one in particular was a shoot 'em up game, so it had a higher chance. But I could not. Because something in that game, I cannot exactly point it, but it made a part of me feel like as if I have gotten a new life. The soundtrack, the content, the retro vibes, the old school visuals, crude humor, virtual bloodbath, it all made me constantly think of this game 24/7. This game was unlike anything I've ever played in my life, and to see this game go so unrecognized across the internet is very saddening to me. Because this game helped me create new standards and understandings for video games. So for that, I'd like to dedicate a retro perspective for a game that has still remained a solid experience for just $2. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you the most fiery and bloody experience, also known as This is Jets and Guns Gold, by the way. Where's original Jets and Guns then? Well, from what I can tell, it's lost media, probably. Jets and Guns Gold is not, because it's available on Steam for just $2-3, and is much better and longer than the original one. I can say that because I grew up with the original game. So, the premise should be simple. You shouldn't dodge bullets, get upgrades, and clear levels, right? Yes, but there's more to it. Though I'll explain it simply. You have your ship and some upgrades. You don't really start with enough things at the beginning, just some cash, a gun or two, and your small yet beautiful jet, the Grumman. You have weapon slots on your jets to place weapons. There's a hell ton of weapons in this game, though you won't have access to those at the beginning. Some do great damage, some have great fire rate, but some, or most of them, generate a bit of heat. You have weapons that fire cartridge ammunitions, like bullets and cannons, weapons that fire energy-based shots, like lasers, and then there's also weapons that fire special shots, shots that can home in on targets, and weapons that automatically aim at the nearest target regardless of the slot they were put in. The weapon slot on the front shoots forward, while the weapon slot on the back shoots behind. And not all weapons can be put in the front or rear slots. As I said, weapons can generate heat, so you can't just shoot all the time. You have to shoot carefully or upgrade your heatsink to improve weapon cooling. And then you have missiles. They're like front guns or these. The good thing is they don't generate any heat and they don't run out. And then bombs. There are regular bombs, cluster bombs, and much more. But then there are drones that can be shoved into the bomb slots, good for outer space missions. After that, you have upgrades. Some ships don't really have upgrades to put on, but other ships are highly upgradable. A perfect example is the T-MiG 226. Some upgrades improve your speed, some upgrade your armor, some improve your agility, and in some jets, you can add additional upgrades like nanomachines, shields, balls, and more. You can test your upgrades and weapons anytime in the shop menu by pressing this button or hitting the escape key. Your primary objective is to kill everything if possible. As easy as it sounds, this game will try to not let that happen. And besides, this game is not easy, at least at the beginning. If you're a newbie to these types of games, be ready to get your bums kicked if you choose the wrong weapon and upgrades. Most enemy projectiles don't really deal damage, but smashing onto other aircrafts or ground units, hitting the ground or any kinds of surface, or getting hit by some types of projectiles can seriously damage your ship. The main strategy is to make the strongest combination of weapons and upgrades, kill your enemies before they even open fire, shoot thoughtfully, learn enemy patterns, and in some cases, use the environment. Timing your kills can also be beneficial because here's the thing. Destroyed aircrafts can crash onto buildings and ground units, destroying them in most cases. In most levels, there will be checkpoints. If you die, you can continue from this point. However, quitting the level will reset your progress on that level, regardless of how many checkpoints you've passed. Though checkpoints should be used cautiously because if you hit a checkpoint, your current armor status will also get saved in the checkpoint. What I mean is, if you hit the checkpoint with 20% health, you can continue from the checkpoint after dying, but with that 20% health you cross the checkpoint with. Some levels will have bosses in the end, or in some cases at the beginning or midway, or some levels will not have any kinds of bosses. Some levels can be long, some will be short, and some are just boss fights. When you clear a level, you'll be rewarded depending on how much points you've earned. Earn points by killing and destroying enemy units. Kill as much as you can, because in this game, score equals money. 1 point equal 1 credit, 1 million score equal 1 million credit. So basically, the more chaos, the bigger your reward. And the bigger rewards equal better upgrades and weapons. And more upgrades equal even more chaos, and the chain goes on. Don't complain if you find some levels impossible to complete. I literally completed this game from start to finish with hard difficulty at the starting difficulty. I'm saying starting difficulty because after each playthrough, a new playthrough will immediately begin, but you will have your weapons and ship from the previous playthrough. Basically a new game plus, and with each playthrough, the difficulty will increase by 1 and will be capped at 10 from what I know. And no, this game is not that short. It will take you around 7 to 8 hours to complete one playthrough, or even more if you're new. If you feel like you're struggling on a level, try a different combination of weapons, upgrades, or a different ship. You'll know you have a good combination when you crush through the level you are struggling in. And if you feel like your weapon placement is wrong, don't worry, it's not. Because you can change your weapons positions anytime in the pause menu. The boss is behind you, put the front gun on the back, it's just like that. And there's so much more to talk about. But it would be better if you play the game yourself. Yes, this game's visuals do look old, but there's no denying that it looks cool. The variety of levels is pretty neat. You have levels in outer space, normal habitable planets, asteroids, lava planets, snowy planets, underwater, and much more. The level of destruction is also pleasing. Seeing zeppelins wipe out entire buildings is just harmony to my eyes. Sometimes it'll be so pleasing that you'll start having motion sickness. Amazing. I think this is why they recommended 1 GB RAM for a 2004 game. Though nowadays, any computer can run this game at over 100 FPS. And let's be honest, for an indie game studio in 2004, they did a good job in this game. The enemy designs, ship designs, weapon designs, level designs are pretty neat. I mean, feet-shaped virus, spaceships with knives, suspicious projectiles, advertisements, playable hot dog van, you know you're playing a great game. A good soundtrack always makes a game's atmosphere more lively. And it does prove to be true in Jets and Guns. This game's soundtrack features 8-bit rock metal head-shaking music that can be calm, blissful, wicked, and nuts. If you're a fan of 8-bit or metal musics, you will love this game's soundtrack. The blend of these music genres makes this game's overall vibe 10 times better. Here are some more examples. But my favorite one The band behind this game's soundtrack, Machine Supremacy, did a chef's kiss worthy job. So much that I literally have the shop music set as my phone ringtone since 2021. Holy shit, it's been 4 years already. This game takes a rather odd approach with its story, as this game's story is presented on loading screens as comic panels. I wouldn't say it's bad though, it's a pretty neat way of utilizing loading screens. So anyways, what's the story of this game? I won't spoil it, just the beginning bits. You're an ex-soldier, working as a mercenary for various clients to destroy pirate outposts, kill designated targets, provide escorts, and more. And after one such job, you're suddenly contacted by Colonel Troubleman, requesting you to return to United Space Hero Federation, or USHF for short, as their old enemy Sox has returned with plans to possibly destroy the entire universe. Typical villain shit. Through the story, he'll go through jump gates, zombie parks, various planets and complexes, time paradox, etc. to attempt to put an end to Sox and his plans. The story isn't dramatic, nor batshit insane, nor does it depend on players' actions, but it is really corny, filled with crude humor and goofy characters, literal high school shit, and it does manage to give this game another layer of entertainment. And besides, games at the time were also pretty damn corny. I'm looking at you, Need for Speed. And now for that part I'd like to discuss. Yes, this is a beautiful game, filled with blissful murder and destruction. However, it does have problems, such as some weapons not being priced accordingly. The beginning bits of this game will be a bit harsh, as you won't have access to the powerful advanced weapons. You'll have access to those towards the end of the game, and when you do, the game becomes way too easy. Weapons like Zombie Blues, Hexagon are way underpriced for their destructive capabilities. Also, a few of the bosses are really hard, not because they are rough and tough, but because their attacks and movement are really unfair. Space Hawk's weird homing missiles that home in on you unfairly.
Look at Randy Orton slithering.
Oh, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
And the undefeatable dragon. This boss is just unfair for a mid-game boss. Its attacks are too fast and deal too much damage, and his overall movement is borderline unpredictable. What is this? Tip? Get Zombie Blues, and the time compressor which can slow down time. And that thing has a problem. It's spammable. You can literally press the slow-mo button every few seconds and pass an entire level on slow-mo speed. What did they even think when they were making this? And then there are some unused power-ups that got left out probably due to code issues. And to fix such problems, I'd recommend you to play the game with the Platinum mod. It mainly fixes the aforementioned issues of this game, such as balancing weapons, making the game more and properly difficult, returning power-ups. But then it adds even more broken new ships, new guns, musics from the sequel, and a boss rush mode at the end of each playthrough. Be careful though, the boss rush is damn hard thanks to the bosses being twice as fast and some just straight up killing you without you knowing. I'd recommend using this mod if you're playing on normal or easy difficulty, or after your first playthrough if you're playing on hard difficulty. But if you don't want any mods, no problem. This game's damn good anyway. Despite being almost 20 years old, it has still remained a great game and solidified my understanding of old is gold. Shoot-'em-up genre might be somewhat obscure as of right now, and Jets and Guns might only be known to a handful of people. But these handful ones know how this game makes you fall in love with virtual genocide. This game gives me vibes that no other games did. It feels old school, retro, corny, rude and crude, and sometimes relaxing. Relaxing with the shop music on, blasting through hordes of pirates with heavy music in the background, it's melody. And I'd play any shoot-'em-up game with the same features and vibes, if there is one, because... Sorry to interrupt, but there is one. What? Jets and Guns 2. Nearly 14 years after Jets and Guns Gold, Jets and Guns 2 was released featuring the arcade shoot-'em-up vibes, reappearing locations, weapons, and more. And let's be honest, holy shit, the visuals are insane. For an indie studio, this is some top quality visuals. Rarely I've seen games with such visuals. We have reappearing locations like Beer Empire and Star City, weapons and stuff returning from the first game, and then we have things like gadgets that can improve your hull, add a shield, improve cooling, increase collision damage, and a whole lot more. We also have gems, or gun enhancing modules, that can improve damage, decrease hit generation, make shots last longer, add auto aiming, or even manual aiming. And then special gadgets that can provide invincibility, flip your ship, make it smaller, and more. And then ship customization. Now it has no effect on the performance of your ship, but man, it looks cool. The game does look great from the outside, and it does play out great. The gameplay, the level designs, game balancing are on spot. Unlike the previous game, this game is a lot more polished and has almost no unfair things that make it more difficult. This game also features a 2-player mode for the first time in the series. Now you can finally have a partner to help you commit virtual genocide. And the soundtrack, it's Machine Supremacy again. And just as expected, it's a chef's kiss once again. So is it better than the first game? Unfortunately, no. If you have played Jets and Guns Gold, or just Jets and Guns, you'll notice a lot of key things missing. First of all, there's no clear story. The comic-style story that was presented on loading screens in the first game is not present. Instead, the story is just these text boxes in level selection menu. Second, the humor. Sure, this game has some humor, but it is very mild or timid. If this game says you look fine, the previous game will say no, you're ugly. It's like that. And then the game is really short. There's only like 11 levels in this game compared to the over 40 levels in the previous game, and as a result, it only takes around 2-3 hours to finish a playthrough. It is indeed a game based on replayability, because with each playthrough, the game will become harder as more enemies, harder and improved bosses start appearing after each playthrough. But still, damn short if you're a guy like me who's not really into replaying games start to finish. Another thing that bugged me a bit, the movement. In the previous game, ships had different stats and behaviors. Some ships were fast and then some were slow, sluggish, hard to move around with. And all of those ships had some acceleration in their movement, making them feel like they have some weight, which improves the overall experience of that game. Also, not to mention, you could make some of them faster with engine and wing upgrades. In this game, there are no movement related upgrades, and no matter how you design your ship, it just behaves the same, sensitive and snappy, as if they have no weight. And lastly, and most importantly, the vibe is absent. I'm talking about the vibe that the original game had. The first game had a vintage, crude, corny, retro, outer space-ish vibe. This game has, I don't know, but it doesn't feel like Jets and Guns. And no, I don't want to blame the developers, Rake and Grass, for this. It's been years since they made Jets and Guns, and by that time, the team may have become smaller, less engaged, or maybe some other reasons. It's not their fault, they tried their best, and they managed to deliver it. And it's not like the second game is not fun. It is definitely fun. I replayed it like 4 or 5 times. The visuals, weapon selection, level designs are stunning. Seeing this slow-mo destruction, collapsing structures, unholy bombardment, great bosses makes me want to do it again, because this is the ultimate fiery and bloody experience, also known as